Hello and welcome to A Cup of SpiritualiTea. We are so glad you are here with us. Now, this is a space where spirituality feels like having a cozy chat over a cuppa with friends, where each month we explore topics that you've been asking about, from grounding and connecting with angels to understanding chakras, crystals, and so much more. And we would love for you to say hello in the comments, like this video, share it with anyone you would think would enjoy it, and let us know your thoughts and questions. This show is all about you, your curiosity, your journey, and your growth. And of course, if we don't get to your question in this episode, don't worry. It may become a topic of a future show. We are here to create a community of learning, connection, and exploration. And most importantly, this is a safe, judgment-free space where everyone is welcome to share and grow.
Yeah, absolutely. We're building a space where we can all learn from each other and connect with like-minded souls. Whether you're brand new to spirituality or have been on your path for a while, there's always something new to explore. So settle in with your favourite cuppa. Unfortunately, mine's water today because it's so hot.
Yeah, so's
And
mine today.
let's dive into this month's topic, which is going to be all about dragons. And I'm so excited. This is one of my faves. And unicorns is my second fave, so I'll be putting in a request for that soon. But first, before we get into all of that, I think we ought to properly introduce ourselves.
Oh, yeah,
Did you want to go first, Ray?
I think we better do that before we bring the dragon in. So I'm Ray, and I'm a spiritual guide and healer who's passionate about helping you reconnect with your divine presence and step into your purpose. Now, through angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, guided meditation, exploring past and future lives, I support you in healing your past and creating a soul-aligned future. Now, my journey has taught me that with the right tools and guidance, we can all connect with our higher selves, embrace transformation, and live a life of abundance and fulfillment. So, I'm here to hold space for you as we explore spirituality together in this safe and supportive community.
Thank you. Well, I'm Sally, and I'm just passionate about empowering being really. So I'm a qualified trauma-informed somatic coach, and I got my accreditation this week. Whoop, whoop. So I've got letters
Yay!
after my name. Use them. I know, yay, go me. Oh, we need to clap you though, Ray, because you've got 100,000 followers on YouTube now.
I know. I know. And Amanda Hiltz Brown is here, and she is one of my subscribers. So thank you, Amanda.
Oh, hey Amanda, nice to meet you, lovely. Anyway, what else was I saying about myself? Oh yeah, so I facilitate women's groups. I do my coaching. I'm a psychic and I give psychic readings. I do meditation groups and I help people in their spiritual development, whether you want to meet your guide or meet your angels, or whether you want to connect with your higher self, whatever you want to do. If you're advanced and you want to learn to remote view or astral travel, that's something I can also help with. So, whatever your desire is spiritually, I can help you with that.
Excellent. So, shall we talk about dragons?
Yeah, do you want to go first or second? What do you want to do?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like as with all things. I think we've both got our own perspective on dragons, haven't we?
Mm.
So, thank you, Amanda. She says
Oh,
congratulations to you both.
oh,
Thank you.
thanks, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Well,
So
I'm happy to start.
yeah, why don't you start?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
let's start with with how you see dragons.
yes, I will. So, uh, um, I channel dragons and I work with dragons. And I have to say that quite a bit of this information has come from my friend Hilary Stanley. I need to say this at the outset because I did one of her dragon courses a couple of years ago. And I want to give credit to her too, because this is a mixture of my information and hers. So, as we know, the Earth's vibration is rising and like spiritually, and more people are becoming aware. So I guess that's why quite a few of you watch, because you might just suddenly have become awake, and there's so much out there, and you don't. Oh, hey Harley. Oh, it's nice to see you. Um, yeah, so people are becoming more awake, and there's so much out there, you don't know which route to take. So, which is why Ray and I decided to set up this podcast. So, as we become more and more awake and our Earth's vibrations rise, our physical world is getting closer to the dimensions of the high vibrational beings, like angels, ascended masters, unicorns, and dragons. And there was this big thing, I know, ooh, dragons. So there was this big thing in 1987 called the harmonic convergence. And that was astronomically when the Earth entered a band of energy created by a black hole at our galaxy's center. And this changed the vibration of the Earth and allowed us to connect more easily with higher vibrational beings. So I don't know if you remember in those mid-80s, there was like the My Little Ponies that were the
Mm.
unicorns, and then there was unicorn duvet covers, unicorn lights, unicorn curtains, and that's when unicorns first started getting into sort of popular um, society, really. And that's because our vibration, our Earth's vibration had raised so much that artists, unicorns and things like were beginning to come through. After that, in the late 80s, the vibration raised enough for the dragons. So in the late 80s, early 90s came things like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm showing my age here because I remember all of this stuff and I've still got My Little Ponies. And the dragons sort of came into people's consciousness. And if you're old, Harley, I know this isn't you because you're definitely not old. But when um in the late 80s, early 90s, there's all this goth stuff. I know there is now, but there's a lot of dragon stuff and dragon earrings. And I don't even remember those black and grey tie-dye things with dragons all over. And dragons really came in to our consciousness. And that's when people began to start working with the dragons. And the dragons, I'm going to avoid the bits that you're going to talk about, Ray. But so what I might do is go into practical stuff about who they are. So the dragons are actually dragons. That's the first thing I ought to say. I believe that in the olden days, people could physically see them if you were higher vibration enough, which more people were because they went barefooted, their food is organic. They had the star forest, which is something I'd like to talk about in another podcast. I'm connecting to star trees, which is something that's just been coming through for me in the past couple of weeks. And people could connect to dragons. And it wasn't like King George and the Dragon, where the dragons needed to be slayed or slain or anything like that. The dragons are high vibration and they are here to help humanity in our lives. So they're like the guardians of the earth, like the ley lines and the sacred sites and the standing stones. And you have as above and so below. And what I find interesting is that at the places like sacred sites, where the standing stones are, that energy is replicated under the ground. So the dragons look after the sacred sites, the standing stones under the ground. And where there's a sacred site with a portal, the dragons are guardians of that portal. And these portals are places where the dimension is thinner, the veil is thinner, and you can go into the past, different aspects of the present and the future. You can go up to work with high vibrational beings. These portals are portals to all the many different dimensions that exist. It's not just our dimension. There's a whole myriad of dimensions out there, which is what makes spirituality so much fun and so interesting. Now, just as ley lines, there are dragon lines, and they flow across the land. And it was Hilary who told me about these. I didn't know about them until she said. and they meander, whereas ley lines are straight. And when I tuned in, they look a bit like molten metal, like that mercury. Yes, like
Hmm.
mercury that goes in thermometers. And the dragons would use those lines as a magnetic way of guiding themselves along the land, along the earth. And they've dulled now, but because our vibrations are raising, they're beginning to shine again. Dragons are also guardians of things to do with sacred geometry, such as crop circles. And as a sideline, I wondered if you wanted me to talk to you a little bit about how crop circles are found, because crop circles are made by star family who use their energy on the wheat to make it, or the but whatever the crop is, to make the patterns. But when people talk about some are man-made, yes, they are, but they're being channeled. The crop circles are channeled through the people, and they have compasses, and they have people who go out with head torches and do it at night, and everything is channeled through, and it's still doing, according to sacred geometry. So they are just as powerful as the ones which star family have done themselves. And I think that's really interesting, exciting, particularly
Yeah.
living where I live, where there are crop circles. Now, our dragons can help us in many, many ways. One of my favourite ways is if you're travelling, like in a long journey, you can ask your dragon to go first and clear the way. So sometimes we've had it where we've been driving and there's traffic jams and suddenly they all disappear because the dragons are clearing the way. Also, this is one I do, which I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit. But whenever I meet friends in a pub, I'm too scared. I don't know if my friends are in, like the pub door's shut, right? So I don't know if my friends are in there yet, and I don't want to walk in on my own. So I ask my dragons to go first and make sure there's a spot where I can sit, where I'm not in the centre of a crowd, where I can be on the edge, and I get my dragons to do that for me, so I
Hey,
don't
why
have to
not?
go in the pub by myself. But I should say that when you're working with dragons, you need to be really respectful. Um, Always say thank you at the beginning, thank you for helping me with, and be really polite. And if they say no, a no is a no. And I hope I'm not generalizing too much, but most dragons I've met haven't got the best sense of humor. They're quite, probably because they're quite old and wise. It's a bit like talking to like an old headmaster from the olden days. It's rare to get ones that are that fun, in my experience, although others I'm sure who are watching may have a fun dragon. I know they exist, but mine come in when there's something important or something dangerous, or there's something I really need to know. Um, to connect to dragons, I know you might be talking a bit about this as well, but the one that I would say the easiest way is through crystals, because dragons are guardians of the earth. So you can use blood jasper, and it's called dragon's blood jasper, and it's found on a hill which resembles a dragon's head, and the mine entrance is where the dragon's mouth would be. Then the septarian, known as the dragonstone, and black obsidian, which is volcanic glass, which comes up when volcanoes erupt. And a dragon's greatest desire is to create energy on this world in total alignment with the spiritual energy of Source. And they guard other portals, other realms, other states of being in order to protect us, to enable the vibration of Earth to lift, and to do it in a safe and careful manner.
Ah,
Dragons are a big part of my life. I work with them a lot, particularly when I go to my local sacred site and other sacred sites. And as part of my groups, I sometimes do a dragon workshop in which you can connect with your dragon and also go on a dragon flight. So if that's of interest to anyone, please contact me on my website, and I'll organise another either online or in person dragon day, because they're just such fun. Anyway, I think I've waffled on quite a lot there, Ray. So sorry. I think there's a lot of stuff you
that's
want
okay.
to add.
I can weave in for that. But before I do that, Amanda says, my sister and I witnessed the dragon in a cumulation of shape-shifting clouds on April the 16th, 2024. This happened the day after a shamanic group meeting, and the dragon was blowing shape-shifting hearts. How amazing is that?
That's beautiful. Oh, it's wonderful when you see dragon clouds or dragons in water, or dragons in rocks and that kind of stuff. I have my own theory that people might disagree with, but I have my own theory that when you go to rocky places that look like dragons, I believe that once upon a time there were dragons there, and when our vibration lifts, they will come back. But I know I might just be a bit too woo for that, but that's what I believe. I'm
No,
not too woo. Okay,
no,
good.
that's absolutely fine. Too woo? Nothing's too woo. Nothing's too woo here. So yeah, so I've sort of like I've slight difference with the dragons, which is why I think this is so amazing that everyone has their own unique way of
Yeah,
connecting and how they see and understand dragons. So when I speak about dragons in the spiritual sense, I'm not talking about the fire-breathing creatures from myths and legends. These spiritual dragons are powerful, wise beings of light that work closely with the natural world and higher energies. And just like angels and elementals, dragons are here to support us, guide us, and help us on our spiritual journey. Now, I know many people experience dragons as protectors, teachers, and powerful allies who can help clear heavy energies, support deep healing, and bring transformation in their lives, clear the path when you want to go on a journey, like you said. Or I like the one about the pub. I might try that in the future. Because they carry ancient wisdom that works with both the earth and the high dimensions, and they help bridge the two. And, I've worked with the dragons at Glastonbury Tour. When I've run my retreats down on the Sunday evening, we go to meet the dragons of the tour, and Merlin and Morgana occasionally has come to see us, which is absolutely amazing. And whilst I was down in Glastonbury a few years ago, I was staying at the Chalice Well, and I was down there on a Monday. So obviously my show goes out on a Monday. So I went live doing my show from the gardens at the Chalice Well, and I did it by the mother statue.
Oh,
So I had candles lit, and I did a guided meditation where you can connect with your dragon, which is on YouTube. So it's one of my shows. I'll put the link later. But that was absolutely amazing. And if you look at the video, because I recorded it, it's like, because I had a lamp with a candle, it's like my head doesn't exist on my body. So I mean, the camera was on the on the mother statue most of the time, but when I was talking, you just saw my head because it was so dark. It's just like so amazing. But that's going off on tangent on that. And I've recently done a guided meditation, which I do need to put out, where we got to meet your dragon at a crystal palace, not the football team, a palace with crystals in Atlantis. But I've got to get that out. I haven't put that out yet, so I need to get that out. But that's going off on a sidetrack. And Amanda says, "Not woo at all." See, there you go. Nothing's woo on this show. Um, so I kind of like sea dragons, like elementals. So they're obviously, as with angels, elementals, and other beings, they can work with the four elements. So we can have earth dragons. And when you connect to the earth dragons, their energy is steady and supportive. They can help us feel more secure, bring stability when life feels uncertain, and help with manifesting abundance. Um, You might feel their presence when you're out walking in nature, near trees, rocks or mountains, as
Oh,
she said. So, yep, spot on there. Then obviously we go fire dragons, and these dragons can bring transformation and courage, and they can help burn away old patterns, fears, and heavy emotions, clearing the way for new growth and passion, or getting you on your journey, or clearing a pub for you. And fire dragons can also ignite our inner strength and help us move forward when we feel stuck. Then obviously we go on to air dragons, who are light, uplifting, and full of clarity. And air dragons can help clear mental fog, bring inspiration, and open us up to new ideas. And often support us when we're learning, teaching, or communicating. So, if you're going to have that awkward conversation with someone, bring in an air dragon to help clear the space before you actually say the words, so the words come out clear, and not heated, um, with that. So that's a nice little tip. And of course, then we go with water dragons, who uh, they're gentle yet powerful, and they can help with emotional healing, intuition, and flow. And they also support us in releasing emotional blocks and connecting to our heart's wisdom. And of course, the beauty with dragons is they can work with angels. And they quite often can work side by side. And so we're just so two archangels. So Archangel Michael's dragons, they work with protection and clearing fear, just as Archangel Michael helps us feel safe and strong. His dragons can help sweep away negative or heavy energies that might be holding us back. And then Archangel Gabriel's dragons, they bring pure light, clarity, and support spiritual growth. They can help us clear old energy patterns, open up our intuition, and support us in stepping into who we truly are. So while angels often work with the higher, lighter realms, dragons tend to work closer to the earth, helping us clear and prepare our energy so we can hold more light. So the dragons can help us connect to the angels a little bit clearer, because they clear that lower energy for us to connect with the higher. And some ways to connect with dragons. You don't need any special skills. And sometimes I think people think to connect with dragons, unicorns, angels, fairies, etc., you have to have special skills, but you don't, because they always want to help us. You just need to open your heart, an intention. So spend time in nature, notice what you sense. In meditation, simply invite dragons of light to step forward. Set an intention for what you need, whether that's protection, healing, clarity, and ask the dragons to work with you, and be open to how they might make their presence known through feelings, visions, colours, or simply a strong sense of peace. But as as Sally was saying, we'll get on to the comments in a minute. As Sally was saying, they are wise keepers. And the ones I've connected with, some of them do have more of a fun energy, but
that's good.
it's still that kind of like older energy that comes in, but you do have to treat them with respect. The way I feel when I work with dragons is they don't work for us, we don't work for them, we work together. We work together to actually help the planet, to raise in its vibration. So if you are working with dragons, have that respect, but also know that you're working together. One is not more important than the other. They don't work for you, you don't work for them. You both work together. And I see we've got some comments. So Harley says that they had similar experience last year. I was told by a respected reader about the presence of a dragon in life. on a road trip within a week of that, I looked up in the sky and there was, message continued. I had to look up a couple of times as I thought that maybe I was manifesting it, but no, it was there and stayed up in the clouds for a while. Then the clouds opened into a heart shape. And then on the same trip, two dragonflies flew in front of the car as well. Um, which is absolutely amazing. And Amanda agrees, working together with the dragons, us and the dragons working together. And Harley said it was so unexpected and I didn't know what to think. And talking of dragonflies, this is just, well, when I went upstairs earlier to put on a different top, I have got a dragonfly in my bedroom and I was trying to get it out, but it wouldn't go. So I need to go back later and see whether it's still there or not. So thanks for reminding me about that. I actually had a dragonfly in my bedroom earlier.
That's really auspicious, isn't it?
I know.
That's amazing. Oh, oh. And Harley, I just love your experience and Amanda of seeing dragons. That's just wonderful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was-
And
When
it's
things like that happen, I always feel
amazing
so
when you
blessed.
yeah, and it's also the fact that you're taking the time to look up at the sky and to the clouds can actually that's another show we might need to do one day about clouds, how amazing
Ooh.
clouds can bring so much information um to us and what they can hide, a lot of uh you know um other starships, etc., can hide in clouds. But again, we could go off on topic on that somewhere completely different. So
Yeah.
that's another subject. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Harley. So, how else do you connect with your dragons, Sally?
How do I connect with my
Hmm.
dragons? Well, to be honest, when I start meditating, I can sometimes feel their presence. And then when I do, I know that they've got a message for me or I need them in some way. They've anticipated that need. So what I do is I just sit in a quiet space. I just allow my thoughts to just drift away. If you have thoughts in your head when you're meditating, by the way, it doesn't matter. Just acknowledge them and then just let them drift. Because while you're thinking, I mustn't have any thoughts, then you're thinking, aren't you? So it kind of defeats the object. So yeah, so just allow and acknowledge any thoughts and let them drift away, and you'll soon become aware of for me, it's quite a solemn energy, and normally it's a dragon telling me something I need to know, usually about sacred sites or standing stones or portals or that kind of thing. Although I do have a female dragon called Emerald, and she invites me to fly on her back. So sometimes when I'm half awake and half asleep, she will actually let me lay on her back, and she takes me sometimes when I can't sleep to a place that's high up on some hilltops, and there's caves around, and you can only get there by flying. And sometimes she lets me sleep by being she curls around me and lets me
Oh,
sleep, but that's when I'm really having trouble sleeping. um but actually I haven't done that for a while recently. Yeah, I'll have to get back to that. And they've become like friendships that I'm not with them all the time, like Mary Magdalene, who's my guide with me constantly. They dip in and out when they sense I need them, I guess. And that's like all good friends, isn't it, really? You
mm,
can have a couple of weeks apart, but when you meet up for a coffee, you start back as you've never been apart. And that's exactly how I find working with my particular two dragons. Um, but I'll be catching up with them on Saturday because we've got the summer solstice and I'm going to my local sacred site. So I'll be catching back up with them then. So I tend to every 6 weeks when I go to that sacred site, we have a bit of a catch up. So I'll be doing that. Anyway, what about you?
cool. Um, I don't tend to connect with them that often, because obviously I'm working with angels, quite a lot, you know. But I do have my own dragon spirit guide called Fredo, who has kind of like grown up with me. It's the same as my unicorn, Jenna. She's grown up with me, as well. So mine, if I do, is normally through guided meditation, or or intention. Like you, I've used them to clear the traffic for me, in the past. Um, but I don't connect with them as much as I really should do or could do. Um, so, but yeah, meditation would be the one for me, to connect with them, or just as I said, just even asking if I'm in situations. I mean, when I used to when I used to have my muggle job, and I'd have to travel back, and I'd be walking about 11:30 at night, midnight, walking home from the train station. I literally would have my so in front of me I would have Fredo, my dragon. To my left I would have Fenris, my wolf. To my right I would have oh my God, I'm so sorry, my tiger. I have forgotten your name. I'm sorry. Would have my tiger. And then behind me, I would have a big angel. So I was literally protected, as I was as I was walking home. But something that has come to mind whilst we were talking. Actually, it's whilst you were talking earlier. But I'll just say that Harley loved that, and that's beautiful and very sweet, Sally.
Charlie.
Yeah. And Amanda says, wow, how interesting. Sally's so supportive.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you, man.
um, and we'll get to Harley's question in a minute, which I think is an actually really good question, for that. But yeah, something you brought up is I noticed that when unicorns came in, so we had that big wave back in the 80s, but then in the 2000s, it started resurgence again. And what I noticed was that unicorns, so it's like angels. So from about 2000, angels really started coming in. But then, because there were people that weren't really connecting with angels, they brought in the unicorns, and people
Oh,
did it with unicorns.
oh,
And then, because there were people that were thinking unicorns a bit light and fluffy, etc., the dragons then came in to appeal to another group of people, so that
hmm.
more people would be connected spiritually, but in different ways, because they're either resonate with dragons, angels, fairies, unicorns, etc. So it's like they come in when they need a collective energy, or they're more noticeable when they need a collective energy to come together and raise that vibration.
Yeah, that really resonates. That really does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Which shows
I
how they
do.
work
Sorry.
together
Yeah.
with each other, and
Yeah.
with us. So, Harley
I'd never
says,
thought of it like that before.
no. No. So Harley says, do you think dragons are more prevalent in your part of the world, Sally?
Yes, I do, because I live in Dorset and there are something like 40 lots of standing stones in Dorset. And we're really lucky because in a lot of Dorset there are no motorways, which meant that natural places didn't get built on so much as in other parts of the country. So yeah, I absolutely do. Um, there's so many sacred sites, sacred streams. There's areas that you know that are sacred. They've got the energy of being sacred, but there's nothing visible there anymore, but you can just feel it. And there's so many places that haven't been messed up by humans. So yeah, I genuinely do think that. And I feel that I'm so blessed living where I live because it is just so high vibe I find when I travel to other places, even in England, I can't connect as easily. And when I go abroad to some places, I find it even harder to connect. But then I was in Portugal last week and it was really easy to connect. And I think you're right, Harley.
Yeah, but they are definitely in the UK in the southwest. They are definitely. I mean, when you think about the dragons at the tour in Glastonbury, and then obviously Wales is known for its dragons. So the southwest and the west, that part of the UK, very very much, more dragon based energy, I think.
Yeah, Game of Thrones has got nothing on ours.
No, no, it hasn't. I mean, I didn't watch Game of Thrones,
I
but
didn't watch it either, but I know there's a dragon in it. So
yeah, yeah. But I think the dragons were both benevolent and packed a power punch when they would protect him.
okay,
I think if that's
okay,
what the clips I do. So if anyone else has got any more questions about dragons that you'd like to
okay.
ask us, then please do. And if you are watching the replay and a question comes up, then ask the question. We will circle back to it and answer it in the
Yeah,
comments, in the comments for you. So whilst we're waiting for that, um, do you want to tune into the energies of the month, Sally, just to see what guidance we're
yes.
being offered?
So I should just say that I tune into the energies. I don't know anything about astrology, astronomy, or any of that stuff. Literally, it's just energetic. So it may differ from bits you read from astrologers or whatever. But at the moment, what I'm getting is there's a lot going on in the world, and what we really need to do in order to remain calm, instead of going without, we need to go within. And they showed me when I tuned in, like an ammonite or a spiral, those ammonites, those fossils, and they chop
Yeah,
in half and they go like that. So what we need to be doing at the moment is really spiraling into ourselves, because that's the way we'll become calm, we'll become embodied, and we don't need to know about the outside noise. We don't need to be going on these, buying these podcast, but not podcasts ourselves, but buying these things saying, "Oh, I can activate you in 5 minutes, and buy this and do that, and you know, um, go on my Zoom for £11, and you too can do da 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 da." We don't need that anymore. In fact, we never did. We need to be going within. So they showed me ascension isn't linear, and they showed me like a ladder. It's not linear, it's going within, and it's more like a spiral, and let it evolve gradually. Or the other metaphor they showed me is like a rose or a flower just unfurling. Allow yourself to unfurl gradually, and don't worry what everyone else is doing. Okay, a spiritual journey is a journey. It's a natural journey. It's a meander. It's a beautiful unfolding. It's not a race, and there's not one way of doing things. So this month is all about doing what's right for you, going your path, what's right for you, and not going the path necessarily of that everyone else is going. You do what's right for you, and that I think that will see you right this month.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and it's so much about being discerning at
Oh yeah,
this moment in time. When Sally works, we're not saying we're doing this for you. We're working with you so that you can get the information and do it yourself. We're just there guiding and supporting you as you're doing that journey. We don't say we are going to give you this, or you are going to do that. We work with you for you to do it with
yeah,
yourself, which I think is so important. So let's
very.
see. Um, Actually, before we see what the cards have got to say, Harley says, what you say about them existing in unpopulated areas or uncluttered areas makes total sense. It seems it may be similar for other elementals too.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We were talking about fairies in our last podcast, weren't we? And yeah, I'd never seen fairies and that kind of thing until I'd moved to this area. So yeah, I think you're right again, Harley. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely uncluttered areas, which is why when I get my spiritual retreat property, oh my God, it'll be the most magical place. There'll be trees around. I'll be creating my labyrinth. I'll have my rowan trees around the labyrinth. It's going to be amazing. Portals, you
I
name
can't wait,
it.
and it's not even going to be mine.
Yeah,
I
I
want
don't
to
know
join
where.
you. We'll come to
Yeah, I don't know where in the UK it's going to be. It's definitely going to be in the UK, but I don't know where. They've not given me any guidance yet. So I'm hoping, literally this year, they give me some guidance for, as to where I'm going to be doing my retreat. So let's see what the dragons want to say to us this week. Now, I only have one deck of dragon cards, but if anyone can suggest other dragon cards, that would be absolutely lovely. So I have more than one deck. But the dragon that came out was Thor's red, black, and gold dragon. Protects you in times of change, a time of rapid transition and transformation. Relax, you are safe. And it ties in so
Oh, that's
beautifully with what you were saying,
yeah,
Sally.
yeah.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. You really can't.
No, you really can't. So following on from what Sally was saying, what the angels, the dragons, the universe is saying, is that know that the dragons are there, protecting you at the moment. And even with this rapid transformation that seems to be happening, because I mean, I don't really watch the news, but the little bits I get, 1 minute this is happening, then that's happening, then that's happening. And it does seem like the world is in chaos at the moment, but it is the transformation that's taking place. And they're saying, do not be afraid of these changes and this transformation. Just relax. Know you are being protected, you are held, and stay in that light, in the own discernment. Know that you are your own sovereign being and you can make the decisions, and call on the dragons to, if you feel you need that little bit of protection, or that bit of clearance, call on the dragons to help you.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Oh,
to say that Harley and Amanda, I just want to say thank you so much for your beautiful comments throughout. They've just been, oh, it's like you're really into this energy of the dragons, and you're really connected, and you're in the vibe, and you're in the zone with us. It's like we've woven this sacred container between us, and it's just beautiful. So thank you so much. It just makes it's always joyful, but it just makes it even more joyful to have such beautiful comments, don't you think, Ray?
Oh my God, yeah, especially where fairies will be dancing everywhere. Oh yeah, there'll be fairies, angels, unicorns, dragons, elementals, you name it, they'll all be there. And of course, this is why we created this show, is so that we do have, this community of beautiful people
Yeah,
that come in and connect with this energy and bring their wisdom and guidance,
yeah,
as well, because when we hear your stories, your comments, that helps us prompt us onto the next thing we need to talk about. But it also, we get information from it and
yeah,
guidance,
yeah, we
and we
do. Yeah,
and
we
we, and
do.
we and we can learn things, and because you both talked about clouds, you've given us an idea for a future show, you know divination with clouds, or something like that.
Yeah,
you know.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
That'd be really
something.
amazing.
Something like that. So, if no one has got anything else to say, I would like to say thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today for a cup of spirituality. Both Sally and I hope you found something meaningful to take away from this episode. And remember, as we said before, this is your community and we'd love to hear from you. So don't forget to share your thoughts, like this video, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next chat. And remember, every time you subscribe, like, or share any of the stuff that Sally and myself do, that really helps with that beautiful web of connection and getting this information out there to people who might not normally, receive it. So please do share if you can.
Do you know what I thought you were going to say when you said every time you like, share, and subscribe? So this is what I'm going to say at the end of every show now. Every time you like, share, and subscribe, another unicorn is born. So by like, sharing, and subscribing, we're increasing the unicorn population of the world. That is why I need you to do it. It's for the unicorns
And the dragons.
and the
And,
dragons
and the angels and
and
the
and
elementals.
kittens though. Kittens are born because kittens are the
Yeah.
cutest when they're kittens.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, we're kind of like going off topic here. And before Sally
don't
signs
mind.
Harley
I
says,
was going to
keep
say,
going, Sally. All this information is wonderful, and hearing your experiences opens your mind.
yay. Thank you so much, my lovely. And if you feel you do want to connect with us personally, you'll find all our details in the description below. And we're here to support your journey however we can. So until the next time, take care, stay curious, and keep sipping on that cup of spirituality.
Take care, everyone, and keep those questions and comments coming in, and any topics you want us to cover. Take care. Bye.